Well, that's 10. So we're going live.
We're live here.
Welcome back to episode 16 of Drawing Blood. We're getting up there. We're gonna have to do something special for 20. That's a month away. We'll worry about it later. Welcome everyone, new and old.
Finish something.
We have to finish something. That'll be the 20 special. Where we take a look at our top-down adventure, #Blood, and what goes into animating it, as the animators, Chris Burns, myself, and Bob to my right, doing all the backgrounds and all that stuff. So we're just going to pick up where we did last week. I did a little more, and I do mean very little more, in terms of getting this kind of first section hedged away. So I'm just going to play that real quick. And it's going to play pretty slow because we put a lot of textures in some of these backgrounds. You can see I even added an owl here. So I'm going to play it now. Let's see where we line up. Gosh, that is slow. Ooh. Alright, so this is a section we're going to kind of finish up here. Just watch the whole thing. Anyone new? We'll get to the owl too, I think, by the end of the day. Got Corey running away in the intro. Here, Becky's fighting again. Kristoff. The trio. There we go. Hello, how you doing? Cracky Comics. Thanks for joining us. Cracky Comics. Okay. How's everything going? Is Cody there? Or is our programmer there? He said he would be. Can't trust a thing that guy says, though.
Trust programmers.
You can't trust those programmers. So this is the section I kind of, you notice I took away the bottom half. Oh, Cody's here. He told the truth. I'm good, super excited to see how you do stuff. Oh, good. Oh, if this is your first time, you'll see how we sort of go into the traditional animation aspects of the game we're making. And it's a lot like how we do any traditional animation here at the studio, since that's our primary source of income is doing animation, some of it traditional, some of it otherwise, but that's what we're going to start doing today. And this is just layout here. Now, those of you who joined last week noticed I kind of cut this short because when you go outside the symbol here, you see I'm going to have to do some camera work so we don't lose Becky in some of this. And we have to do kind of a camera move here, but I want to get the background kind of squared away and all that stuff before that. So we're just going to get the main kind of beats inside the symbol that we can kind of play with going, and then we can kind of fine tune it if we need to, and perhaps even move on to another scene, because all the in-betweens and stuff, I mean, it's not very exciting watching a dude just go in between little lines and stuff, so I can do that on my own without a live audience. So I was kind of going to finish up doing this little settle here with this vampire. So I'm going to continue that right now, just so we get it all on the same chart. I've been trying to improve my animation skills, so I'm hoping to learn a thing or two from you guys. Well, if you have any questions, and it doesn't even have to be about Blood or this animation in particular, we'd be happy to give you any tips on anything you might be trying to learn as you start this animation career of yours. You're always learning in this field, I notice. There's never a high watermark. You can always get better, or as long as you keep practicing. And what's nice about animation in this field is it's something that you can get better with, and age is not a factor. You can keep getting older and older, and your drawing skills can keep getting better as long as you keep at it. I guess at a certain point when you're too old to see, that changes, but alright, so we're yeah, let us know if you have any questions. We're happy to do little tutorials here and there. So I'm just going to start in betweening this guy, a little settle here. You can see it goes from that to that. So it's not a very big move, but it's during a camera move too, so we're gonna have to trace it back anyway when we get to the zoom in and zoom out, just to keep the line weight consistent. That's why I want to get the scene sort of in order so we can start setting up it outside the symbol, which is what the audience will see anyway. Okay, so his leg goes up. I'm going to put some drag on the shoe. Some secondary stuff. This one you could probably just keep like that. Alright. I'm going to zoom in a little here. Well, let's do 200. Now, when you get to like the really small settles and stuff, or not that big sweeping move, I usually just go right into cleanup, like frame by frame. A lot of settles I can kind of do that with our own style. If it's a style we're not very familiar with, you're gonna want to rough out everything. Probably a general rule of thumb is you should rough out everything, but when you're kind of working at a breakneck speed that we're trying to do, we take every precaution we can make to make sure we get it done faster and faster. Alright, so let's see, that should be his chin. Alright, now let me clean that up. Looks good enough for me. Is Andrew with us today? He might be working, and if there's only 3 viewers and 2 of them are the programmers, we might we could do this over the phone. Because him and our writer Greg were at AwesomeCon last week, showing off this game. So he'd be happy to field any questions how that went. Alright, let's clean this. It's almost a relief he's not if it's just 3. He's in San Francisco for a wedding. Another programmer slacking. Boy. You know who's not in San Francisco, Cody? The 2 animators. So after this one, it never fails. That's how you know we're still in Riverhead. That's our lunch bell. It doesn't matter. I swear we can start a Twitch and the police unit's on call for us. Alright, let me color this one. So when I do all these, when it's final animation, we try to do everything on 1s or 2s. There's certain cases where we do 3s. And that's for like an extreme settle or like a really big camera or really drawn out camera move to make it feel a little more. The word choppy is probably not right, but it does make it look a little more choppy, but it's also a really kind of cool effect you can use. Just makes it look a lot more traditional. So that guy falls there. See how they interact. Alright, so we have to get Becky in the air here too. This is where she's going to zoom in, so I'm just going to keep this as still frame and then worry about her animation outside of the symbol. So we're going to keep that there. She jumps in. So we could probably, let's see how far she should jump. So I'm going to actually move her up a little bit so it's a little more impactful, I think. So she kind of pushes off these fellas. And first things first, I'm gonna worry about this settle, I think, first, because she lands, so this will be the last frame before she jumps off. So I'm going to do a little bit more of an extreme here for her. I guess I should do this guy first, so let me just do a bit more of an extreme thing. So she lands on his head, so his head's going to go down more. Going to rough something out. You just have to kind of keep in mind what every extremity is doing too. So this arm right here goes down a little more, so we're going to have to push that down further to get more of an extreme. This arm goes up a little bit, so we're going to keep that up, and the head goes down. So with that in mind, we can start roughing it out and get it right. So I'm going to scrunch the head a lot. And I'm not afraid to go very cartoony with this because it is a very cartoony video game we're making. Or mostly cartoon, I guess, but... And I think it translates nicely in video games when you go super... It's a little refreshing where a lot of video games tend to be a little more rigid and kind of more serious with the characters. We're taking the opposite approach and trying to make this feel lively and rubbery and all that good stuff that makes those 90s cartoons what they were. That's one thing that definitely gets me a lot. I focus on the movement and forget about everything else. Well, animation is just the study of movement, so that's a good instinct to have to begin with. So, yeah, but it's also like you're not just moving lines around, really. I know, especially when you work in Flash or Animate or anything, you kind of focus on an individual piece, whether it be a symbol or just like a movement inside the symbol or any of that stuff. You kind of want to always keep in mind that what we're making, what everyone's making with character animation, is a believable character at the end of the day. So it's not so much the design, really, it's just how you act or move with the character. And that's not just always a straightforward line. That's why there's arcs and settles and all that good stuff that takes it away from the digital world. Alright, so his leg's going to go down, his knee hits here. You can bend that back. Now, everything's so fast, so yeah, that's fine. We can even, I'm going to refrain from retiming too much of this since it's embedded symbols. But when we get to the final animation, I think there's going to need to be a little more breathing room in some of this stuff. And since we don't have an audio track yet, that's okay to kind of play with it here. It's almost like an advanced animatic at this stage. And just because it looks decent enough in storyboard doesn't mean when you kind of get to this more layout-y stage that it necessarily works. Alright. So the hand opens up a little bit. Goes down here and stretches out. Neck goes down here. You can even stretch that out a little longer. This goes up. You can really push the hands here. Whoops. So, Cracky Comics, how long have you been studying animation or interested in pursuing it? Alright, did I forget a knee? No, the knee's there. I think I got every line here. About a year or so, I think. And have you studied it at school, or is it just something you're just passionate about on your free time? been interested in for a long time, but I only started recently. No, that's where it starts. It's one of those careers that it's not something you fall into. It's something you pursue too. And I find everyone in this field had a deep appreciation for just the art of cartooning too. It's hard to fake it. Alright. You'll see when I clean up sometimes I try to go so fast that I forget lines like that. Like, see, I forgot his knee. Or the back of his leg right here. Little shadow. Okay. There we go. Little patchwork. And I make all these drab colors for the vampires so she stands out a little more. So let's see here. So now we have to get her. There, so we have to keep in mind where she is. So she lands right here. The tip of his head. So we're gonna overshoot here. And so she's coming up from up here. We're gonna really wanna make it feel forceful. She is after all trying to hurt this guy. Yeah, I'm studying it right now. I understand the principles for the most part, but I'm still getting used to the feel of it. That makes sense. Yeah, that's another thing that you'll be chasing your whole career too. It's something that really only gets better with practice too. Which another thing you really can't fake it. But every project and every job we take, we try to push our boundaries in terms of what we're used to doing and stuff. So we tend to learn a little bit from each job, I feel like. And sometimes because the styles change so often with these jobs now that we're kind of forced to think way differently than we would for a previous job, in other words. So now whether it's technique or timing, I find this year we're really playing with the timing of moves and stuff. We've almost adapted for this latest project I'm working on a little bit of an anime sense of timing where the poses are a little more extreme. It's a little choppier. But it's fun. I'm playing with 3s and 4s and crazy camera moves and all that stuff. And it's something like when I was first coming into the industry, I was like, everything has to be on 1s. I was very regimented, and I just thought 1s were the pinnacle of what makes good animation. Just because it's more work doesn't mean it's better either. I slowly started to learn. So we're playing with a lot of that stuff, and it's fun really kind of exploring that timing thing. And this is my 19th year as an animator, and I just started playing with timing that I got out of my own way for that. No, it's fun. We're doing a lot of these kind of little jobs now. And little in terms of it's 15 to 30 seconds, which you can really cram a lot of cool animation in, and it doesn't feel too overwhelming. I was a huge fan of Flexcaliber. It's sort of one thing to another. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was a fun one. We got to team up with some really cool guys who helped us write that. Gary Doodles. Yeah, Gary actually helped us board a lot of it too. I love your style. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Miracle Frame. I was about to say farm, but I constantly I feel like I'm turning dyslexic almost. I read stuff and I just read what I want in it. So Flexcaliber, we got to team up with a lot of cool guys and it was a fun opportunity. I wish more people saw it, and I wish it led to more work and that thing. But we're actively starting to kind of work on it as a pitch now. So hopefully the right gets into the right hands. We can make something fun. Oh, we got some old fans. Yeah, Chihuahuas is here again. Good to see you guys. Thanks for stopping by. I'm almost wondering if I should have... No, her arm's there. We're going to keep her arm there. I was going to maybe push her arm back, but I think this is a little better here. I do my own animations, but in Germany there is no industry for it. Oh, now there... Well, what's nice about sort of this global economy we're making with everything is, you know, we used to have to animate in New York City. Now we live in New York, so it's not a stretch. And if we needed to get to the city, anywhere from an hour and a half to a 3-hour journey. But what's nice about the industry from when we started is we find that I'm going to push her eye a little bit more here. That we can animate in the comfort of our own hometown and still get enough client work. So even though there might not be a giant industry in Germany, you could still probably find some work elsewhere as a freelancer. Though if you're looking for a studio experience, which, you know, when you're starting out might be the best route, at least I think so, because you learn so much working with other studios. But you could definitely find work as a freelancer, I think. So let's see here. Okay, so we had to get her jumping up here. So I'm going to end with that frame so we can kind of scoot over. So let's see. So this pose we're going to have to really kind of nail here because this is the one we're going to zoom in on. So I'm going to have to rough this out pretty good. She also pulls out her field hockey stick, which doubles as a weapon in this game. Though not in the game we made so far. We still haven't animated this sprite of that. She does use pencils. So I'm going to change her eye line here, actually, too. To look down more like that. Keep the teeth. Also hope I'm not like distracted. No, don't worry about it at all. We like when you guys talk and ask us stuff. It keeps the Twitch stream lively and stuff. So no distractions here. And like I said, if you have any questions, let us know. And that goes for everyone. If anyone has any animation questions or industry talk, let us know. We love talking industry. We don't get a chance to do too much of it at home. And Bob and I talk about it all day here, so it'll be nice to hear from other people's thoughts on it.
Not as jaded as we are.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get some youth perspective on it, where they think it's going. How long did it take for this? Did it take to do the sequence? I'm here for a few minutes. Oh, this one I've been doing 2 hours a week on this one, just because we have other work. I think this is the byproduct of. It's between 3 or 4 weeks now, so this would be around an 8-hour day. I'm saying I could probably get this done in an average work day, and I get a little quicker if I get to do it in a continuous fashion. Like picking it up right now, I'm a little slow because I'm used to drawing another character right now. So this is about a week's worth of work, but I did the whole animatic in front of a Twitch audience, and that took a couple of weeks and stuff too. So Yeah, that's about average. I could probably get 5 seconds laid out a day of this kind of action. Now, if it's something like just a talking scene and it's just mouth movements and stuff, I can go a little quicker. It's all contextualized. The action stuff always takes the longest, though. It's the most coordination. You have to worry about that. You have to worry about camera moves, and the unsung hero is sort of the backgrounds and the action, because you have to frame out the action to make sure the audience isn't distracted by the backgrounds, but you need to make it look like they're somewhere too. So it's a lot of sort of doubling back and thinking of what you can do with it. That's why you can see in the animatic the backgrounds are so kind of simple, and we're gonna have to make them probably a little more complex to get it to feel like the cartoon that we're going for. This also isn't the most organic way to work, because I'll be doing the backgrounds, which is primarily Bob's who usually did all the blood backgrounds. So I'll be doing like it in sections too. But this is just for the stream. When we work on our own stuff, it's a lot more regimented. So damn smooth. I love it. Oh, thank you. It looks like the roughing stage is almost completely skipped. I do, like, once I rough something out, I try to clean it up, because we're the cleanup artists too, so it's something that I don't. You see this flag's all screwed up. So I'll just clean it up and use it as a point of reference right away. I'm not great at roughing out and just kind of moving on, and I think it comes from when I used to work at another studio. We were sort of responsible for everything we had to animate, including the cleanup. So I always kind of did it almost frame by frame. Like, I'd rough something out. And the storyboard stage also kind of acts as a slash animatic slash layout for me. I kind of try to get the timing right there, and then just have to worry about the character design and all that stuff. But no, it's a little unorthodox the way we kind of work. I'm beginning to learn. And it's just something we sort of have to do as a small studio, I think. So I'm going to fix this leg. I'm going to fix it in the rough here. So we want to kind of continue that, so it looks a little more attached to her body. Okay, that's good enough. So like I said, we're going to kind of keep this frame still now, because we're going to have to animate it while it's moving as the camera. And that's just a whole lot of different kind of setups, which I can get into when we finally get to that stage. Buffalo Bison. I came across one of the posts for Blood on Indie Gaming and wanted to check it out. It's so incredibly cool that you're streaming parts of making the game and chatting. Apologies if you've been getting asked this a lot. I looked around but couldn't find an answer. Do you know yet what platforms this will be available? Well, thanks for joining us. I'm glad you find it interesting. Cody, the future man, is our programmer. He probably knows a little more about this
We
stuff.
just haven't decided yet.
Yeah, there's no definitive real answer for this. I think we can all agree. What is Cody's name? For me to shut up?
No, I don't know.
What's he saying?
Did I post on Reddit? No, I don't know.
Oh, he's asking if we post it. I think the main. I would like to get it on Switch, because it feels like a Switch game to me, where it's a little more cartoony and bubbly, and it seems like that's a good sort of area for it right now. But no, we don't have a real definitive answer on that. But we're definitely shooting for as many as possible, probably too. So it's so early in development, though. Did someone post something on Reddit?
I don't know what the fuck
Blood Force. Yeah. That would be nice. That'd be nice to get it on. Yeah, I would be happy with it anywhere. To be honest, as long as someone can play something we made, I think that's an incredible accomplishment. All right, so let's have her kind of jump off this thing. So she is going to be pushing off here. Now, a normal in between, you would kind of just see, like if I didn't have these guys to know exactly their trajectory, the logic would dictate that he just sort of in between it like that. But I want to kind of push out the leg a little bit here so it gets that force, this guy going that way. So I'll probably push out both legs here, and she's kind of unveiling her field hockey stick too, so I'm going to start pulling that out here. And we kind of treat the field hockey stick as a little bit of magic kind of thing. It shrinks and disappears when it needs to. On Indie Gaming a few weeks ago, this was the first time I've been able to make a stream now.
So I guess
Oh,
somebody else posted it on Reddit.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I've been doing that for a little bit now, just posting little drips and drabs of I was going to call it coin, Jesus, of blood. We got a lot of
But
content.
Not on Reddit, though, yeah.
Oh, not on Reddit. No,
You don't even know what Reddit is. That's okay. It's okay, Grandpa.
I don't read, so I don't need Reddit. No, I don't know what Reddit is. I'm sure it's something that would baffle me. So you can see her legs kind of push out and stuff. So we can actually raise her a little bit.
How long is the game? The game we're not sure in length yet. We're probably shooting around.
Oh, how long is the game going to be? Right now it plays about 30 minutes for the kind of demo we're making. But I think there's been talks around between 6 to 8 hours. Probably more in the 7 range. And it's just enough to tell the story we kind of have in mind, which we're still working out too. I'm going to rough this out a little more because this isn't the best thing to clean up on. Now her buns here are going to kind of drag a little bit. Got the cape coming off. But no, thanks for joining us. And yeah, we've been periodically posting on there, just showing off what we got done. I like that indie game promo stuff. It's a great way. It's a great way to feel inspired too. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out, and it seems like I really do like the indie game community so far too. It's really been welcoming, and I see a lot of parallels between that and the animation community. Everyone's just trying to make their own kind of thing here, so it's inspiring. It's inspiring when anyone kind of takes the time and just to make something, and you never know where it's going to go or what's going to happen or the success rate, and you still choose to do it anyway. So I'll probably change that to be a little quicker. So you can see I kind of pushed off there, so I'm going to just change her timing a little bit. That'll work. Yeah, we're still very far from having anything remotely complete. But I imagine every game takes years, especially to people doing it on the side. We would love to do it more full time. That's what nights and weekends are for. What's the Reddit feed? Did Cody talking about that?
So that's where that guys found stuff.
Oh, that's where I found it. Cool. Yeah, I didn't. Did Andrew maybe? Do you always animate in Flash, or do you use other programs like Toon Boom and so on? We are primarily on Flash. I never tried Toon Boom. I hear pretty decent things about it. We just learned how to. We all came up. The New York scene was, when we came up, Bob and myself, was all about Flash and stuff. So that's sort of what we were forced to learn. So that's what we continue to use. And there hasn't been a lot of projects that I've noticed that we can't accomplish with Flash or Animate or any of those things. There really hasn't been one. It's primarily a tool. I feel like if you can draw on it, then you could use the tool the best you know how to make any project work. Okay, so I'm going to give her a little shadow there. So you can see her body really changes drastically every time she has the cowl on. It's a little, it's this kind of miniature version of her. But I've never been accustomed to not pushing the character design in a way that doesn't make it feel cartoony. So that's good. So this layer is going to be smoke. We're not going to worry about that. That's on a guide. So this is fully laid out now, and we can go inside everything and start animating it when we need to. I use the newest Adobe Animate version, and it's pretty nice. A lot of new functions for lip sync, camera moves, and so on. Yeah, we had to use the new version of Animate. Well, I don't know what version we have. We have a newer version of Animate. Not we haven't updated because we find sometimes it screws up our files. So, no, we've used it with the lip sync finder or whatever it's called.
Oh, but there's that new, that.
Oh, there's a thing that
new
lip
thing.
syncs automatically,
Oh, yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah.
I haven't tried that, no. No, I find that drawing in Animate's a little wonky, or it might not even be wonky, it's just what I'm used to in Animate, or in Flash MX that makes me want to kind of keep using it. Okay. So we could start doing, what's in here? We have to kind of in between all that. I might in between this so I can show you guys the stagger. And this is a good time to ask any questions because I probably won't need to rough out anything. So if you guys have any, no, it looks like I'm gonna. But if you guys have any questions now, and I'm gonna start animating the owl in the beginning because that's the very first shot and we need to get to it anyway. Yeah, Bob's working in Animate now, and I hear whispers of discontent, which would be full blown yells if it was both of us working on it. Yeah, I can't say I'm a giant proponent of Animate. Let's just put it nicely that way. Yeah, I could probably in between the rest of it after this one keyframe, but I want to show you guys the stagger Then we can put some action lines behind it and call this little section done. I did my own choice with Animator. I promised myself I'd never do it again. It crashed. I hear ya. It crashed. It crashes.
So incredibly much.
It crashes a lot, and I just saved. Like, and no one's the wiser. Like now, if I open, what's perplexing is I can open this in Animate. I wouldn't want to grace blood with that, but I could do it, and you can, when I hit save, you can just, and yeah, people argue with me all the time saying, well, it's only a few seconds and it's saving important stuff, and it's like, I agree with the saving part, but, just the amount of time you save and think about it over the life of a project, what you're losing by just it acting like the way it's acting, so it's, and the amount of times you crash and stuff. I mean, you compound that over the life of a project of this magnitude, and you're talking probably about, 2 to 3 work days of you just waiting for this thing to save, and it didn't do anything that MX couldn't do. So, and then, whatever you choose to lose, whatever it chooses to crash and lose and all that stuff, so it's far from perfect. I think the success of Toon Boom has been partially in part to how how they managed to kind of change Adobe Animate. And I don't even want to get into the part where you're renting it and then they can change it on you anytime they want overnight. And we've reached out to Adobe. No one seemed to want to hear what we were putting down, though. I can understand. Is there any tips you can give about the practice animating cats? Let's see, cats. Well, we did. Do we have that cat animation? The one.
Might have it.
Let me look for something. Could you look? See it? Yes, Shiva. Yeah, I could show you some stuff we did on it. That would be the BB. Here, Bob's gonna look for some stuff. We actually animated for Disney XD too, some cats. Yeah, I'll show you some stuff we did with cats. That's probably a better.
That's probably better one, actually.
Yeah, if you want to just figure out what file that's on. Sure. So, well, cats. Now this cat is sort of the one I'm going to show you. We have one where it's just pure cat stuff, and one where it's almost like kind of a humanish character. What was that under?
What was it,
Makers. Makers, Marcus,
Yeah, you
Maker.
actually have like whole final part, yeah.
It's in final?
It's in animation, and then you have like it was
What's a good part for the cat?
probably the first part. Is that when they're jumping around, or maybe?
So we have so much in the whole.
Yeah. There's a cat in it. Gosh, look how thin we did it. Christ. Okay, let me try to find a cat scene.
There's a good spot.
Oh, well, this one's not very cat-like, but you can see we kind of snoring away. Is there one where it's chasing the laser?
Yeah, there was a laser one. That was really nice.
You can see how long these files are too, like in MX. Like we're at the 53-second mark, and this works fine. It's about 30 megs. Let's see, so we got a cat licking himself here. Now this is a very proportional cat. Keep in mind it's pretty cartoony. But we got the licking happening here. Got the tail moving. 100% it looks pretty decent too. But there's a part where he's chasing a laser. Oh, here we go. So Bob animated this scene. And you can see him kind of coying around. Now, if you're doing like cat stuff like that, I mean any character, you see how we're following an arc with the cat? And it's led by this kind of roundish head. So you're going to want to definitely work on arcs and stuff like that. For cats. Tail is just sort of a flag moving. And I think if cats are just graceful by nature, so you're going to want a lot of sort of follow through land, and then the tail kind of follows through too. That's not a lot of settling kind of stuff going on. It's sort of like landing and coasting and stuff like that. To make my own webcam. Okay, sorry, I missed a few. Hello, is it hoping to learn Clip? I never heard of Clip Studio. I take it it's an animation program. I'm making my own webcomic now, but I have trouble with forced perspective. Forced perspective is tough. That is a tough one. Oh, perspective is hard to get down. So you're aware of all the anchor point, vanishing points, I assume, with the perspective and stuff. If not, I could give you some tips on that too. Oh, thank you. Well, there's another cat thing I'll show you that's more cat-ish, if that makes sense. I could show you a tip in Flash too to get really interesting perspective that I've used a lot. I'll show that next. Is it in BBDO? Have we figured that one out?
That one, yeah.
Shiba? I'm not going to open it up and not doing that. So this one we had to make it look like a New Yorker.
I'm not really attacking your feed. I'm trying to stop you from.
That's not a finished version?
No,
The hell do we have that to? Oh, that might. Oh, okay, this one.
Shiba presents Inner Feelings, real thoughts from your cat.
I'm not really attacking your feed. I'm trying to stop you.
So this one, I mean, it's not. I guess it's not. I thought we had more done. Didn't we do a version of it too?
Presents Inner Feelings, real thoughts from your cat.
I'm not really attacking your feed. I'm
Yes, I
trying to
know
stop
what they
you
are.
from
Okay.
pulling that cold can of leftover cat.
So this is sort of just the kind of same principle where we have this. I'm gonna just figure out which layer the cat's on. Okay, so we change. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just select all the frames so you can kind of see the arc of the cat. So you can see everything is working in this giant sort of S-curve here. So if I was going to do something like a feline like that, I would always keep in mind these like kind of just paths of action.
From your cat.
I'm not really attacking.
And then, I separated the tail there. But
Cat.
but you see it's kind of coasting to a stop. Like normally, like if a dog, like a big goofy dog jumped, it would be high in the air, then it's kind of slam down and settle, where cats are sort of like creeping
I'm
up
not
on
really
you.
attacking your feed. I'm trying to stop you from pulling.
So there's that one. Now let me show you this trick for perspective I can do. So if you're doing the perspective stick, are you aware of isometric angles at all? I'll show you an interesting trick. Let's say it's, I'm just going to make a floor right here, just floorboards. 1, 2, 1. These cats are funny. I've never formal art class. Okay, I'm going to show you what isometric just means. Every angle is adjacent to each other, so it's sort of like train tracks when you think about it. They never touch. There's no vanishing point. So what I'm going to do is make one right here. Okay, so say these are floorboards, and this is an isometric kind of thing. And we'll just make a few, something like that. Just get it to look like floorboards. And this is the line tool I'm using, or the pencil tool, rather. So you could start off like this. Color this. We'll make it vibrant. Okay, so you have floors like this. Now what you can do with this is kind of cool. Is you can make forced perspective with this. Cool things. And what's cool about the line tool is you can really get into shape tweens and stuff if you really want to play with a camera angle. Now this is the exact same image done, and look at the difference in perspective. So what you're going to do is straight lines all the way.
We lost internet there for a second.
Oh,
So we're
did we
not
lose
live for a
internet?
little bit.
Are we
I
back?
think we're back.
Sorry guys. The perils of live.
Crappy internet.
No, it's our internet. The perils of Optimum. So, you're going to start with straight lines. Then straight in a line. Then you're going to select them all. Then hit the control button and you can change as many angles as you want. Now, once it's like this, though, it's kind of hard to get back to the square thing. But you could always keep hitting control and changing it, and you could change the direction of it. And that way you can kind of play with fun little angles here with a lot of mileage. So, yeah, anytime. So, and hey there, first time watching you. So, well, thank you, Arrow Will 13. I don't know how to say stuff, so but thanks for joining us, and sorry if we lost connection there. That's a first when we lost connection. No, I use that control thing a lot. It was really helpful in a lot of projects. Yeah, and actually, Flex Caliber, I did it with. There was a part where he was kind of on the stage, and the stage was morphing and all this stuff, and all we did was use line tool and all that stuff. And what I love about line tool is you can animate a character in it and then zoom into them and break it, and the line weight remains the same. But it's a lot harder to in between with line tool because it's pretty kind of wonky and it attaches this stuff it shouldn't and stuff. So it's not as easy to. It's easier to draw with brush tool, like this more kind of organic line. So, gonna go to 400% brush 4 again to clean up. I also just use these roughs as an indicator. Like you can see I kind of went off the original red line here, but I just eyed it to make sure that was more closer to the in between there. So I just use it more as a guide. I think all roughs sort of serve that purpose. Lost internet. I'm surprised it just called back up though. That's kind of cool.
It's not that cool.
It's not that cool. It's not that cool that we pay for internet and that happens. Yeah, no, that's really uncool actually. Her eyebrows are a little. Want to get closer to the edge there. Yeah, and I would totally recommend playing with isometric backgrounds and stuff. It's a lot of fun, and it's funny what you get away with it, especially in animation, because then all the characters can remain the same, and no matter where they are on the X or Y axis, that looks right. So our short coin we did was all isometric backgrounds. Both shorts, I think. And it's
so was that whole cat.
Oh, the cat film was isometric. Yeah, well, it was kind of flat. Yeah, it was just a little wonkier, but the principle was the same. That cat film we did for Disney XD or Makers at the time, whatever they were. It's still one of our more viewed videos. I think the most, because it ended up. I've saw some very popular YouTube channel.
I've never heard of it.
I never heard of it, but you can't take my word at that. But I think it's up to 4 million or 5 million or something crazy. I don't know what our second most, but it's nowhere close to that. Let's see. Let's start over there. Get these knuckles right. Yeah, I think the rest of this I can just in between without roughing out, so it'll go a little quicker. Or sometimes I'll just clean up, like the feet here might be a little bit of an issue. It's also going to be part of a stagger, so it doesn't have to be wildly accurate, but it does help actually. You guys have any advice for getting smooth lines, like any good practice methods? I think cleaning up line is all about sort of the speed and the direction you're pushing or pulling the line itself. Like I know curves, like a curve you're going to want to go, like you want to pull towards you, and like whatever, like you'll start from the top and go from the bottom. Where sometimes a straight line you want to start from the bottom and go for the top. I notice the quicker I go, the smoother the line. And that's just something like you'll build up muscle memory and confidence with your line work the more you do. Like when I first started in betweening, I would really struggle. I would undo a lot. I would do a lot of this kind of chicken scratch kind of stuff. But I noticed the more practice I got with it, just sort of the secondhand nature of it. And it's also where your eye is looking at it. I'm always sort of looking ahead. Like if I'm starting to draw this line here, my eye's already over here, so I'm kind of just my hand following my eye direction, in other words. So it's always kind of looking ahead, and then I find my hand sort of allows me to do what my eyes are already doing for it. If that makes sense. But it's like any, a good way to practice is actually on paper with like a micron and stuff, because you can't afford to have any mistakes, and then you can kind of get into it with the undo methods in Photoshop or Flash. Anytime. And there's artists just dedicated to cleaning up animation and stuff. I think less and less now, but I mean, back in the golden age, that's all there was. This is a bigger character. The closer it is, that's why each in between takes forever. Fix that. Is that everything? Make sure we didn't miss any lines. This one there. All right. It looks like I missed her shadow right here. Why nobody uses pencil tool in Flash? Isn't it better to have control on the width? I do use pencil tool a lot, but I noticed drawing with it, even when it's on the smooth setting or like the ink setting, that it's still not as accurate. And what I like about the brush tool is you get these little, like you have more of a, this is the same brush with different pressures, so you could get like this more of a variance and stuff. And it's a little more close to a traditional look, I think, is the brush tool. Not to say I used brush tool in Blood before when we were doing a scene where line tool, yeah, where we were doing kind of a dream sequence. Oh, I messed up her line. I could show you that scene too. And you could, if you're really looking at the line, you could definitely tell when it's a pencil tool and when it's a brush tool. Here, I'll show you. One video game animation. Is it just called Vampire Cutaway? What the hell am I going to call? Oh, this is... That's a different one. Where's the Dream? Oh, Dream. Now, so this is all line tool. And you can definitely see, like, if I were to clean up her lips here, it would never have this sort of just very uniform look. At 100%, when camera's moving and all that stuff, I don't really have to worry about it. You know, so it really is on a case by case basis what I'll use it on. Like I wanted this really giant zoom out. That's why I kind of had to, you know, for me to traditionally animate that, you know, in the sense where I'm changing the camera angle and the line weight stays the same, we would be on Twitch 5,000 and I would still yeah, it really changes the line. Yeah, no, it does. It does a lot. But it, you know, you use it like any tool to your advantage when it helps, and you can use it like in background stuff a lot when you need a straight line and you don't want to kind of worry about it. And like close-up scenes, I find it helps a lot more because cleaning up a close-up can be pretty arduous. So I'm just gonna do my best to freehand all this in between. But yeah, it's a very minor change, but there's just something very human about the brush tool that you really can't get with the pencil tool. But I hear in the new Animate, and I think in the new Animate it draws a little better with the pencil tool, from what I understand too. So
Yeah, no, I think it does actually.
you think it does?
Like I've been using it now. I don't know if it-
Yeah, Bob's using it now in Animate, and he's saying it's a little easier.
Not a lot.
But there is a difference. Yeah. So there. Hey, look, there is something. We did say something nice about Animate.
I know we added it less.
Cause for celebration. No, there's complete shorts we did in MX with the line tool too, so. Okay. But yeah, having the line weight change is a nice thing with the line tool for sure. Especially when you're kind of not sure right away, and then you can just change it instantly. Whereas you're really stuck with a brush. Especially if you need to thin it out and it's fully colored, and you're just retracing everything. And I find line weight is, I don't know, it's not talked about a lot, but it really defines the style a lot more than I used to think it would. The chunkier the line, the more sort of modern it looks or something. Alright. What, something breaking?
Animate's doing its own thing again.
Animate's going rogue. Okay, I just had to save as here. When our server goes down. Failed to save document. Oh boy. All this praise.
No, you know, I think it's iron.
I'm gonna save it to the desktop.
It's some of their server.
Uh-oh.
Not the server, just the connection. It's bad.
Why can't I save this then?
Oh, we can't even save it on the
I
desktop.
can't even save it on my desktop. Alright, I'll show you what I'm gonna do.
Dirty cheats.
I'll show you a dirty cheat. So I brought it into another file. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna call this Twitch cheat. Alright, so I saved it. Now I can bring that back in. For some reason it wasn't working. So what I did there, if you ever run into that and and it's not like doing the spin of death or anything, what you do is Control-Alt-C, that copies all the frames. This is used for any flash, by the way. Are we out? Are we out of it again? The internet down?
No, I don't know what code it's in.
Oh.
Basic game, you guys can
What's that? Does he have a basic end? What's he
make.
talking
Exactly
about?
like a basic pitch.
What's Cody talking about? So anyway, as I was saying, you Control Alt C, that copies all the frames. Then you open up a new one, File New, and hit Control Alt V, that pastes all the frames, and then just rename it the same exact symbol you were calling it. Now, as long as you're working in one symbol or one area, it should be fine to keep going. And then I can close the original one. It's going to tell me, are you sure you don't want to save? And since I can't there, it doesn't matter. And then you replace it later. But I didn't really lose any drawing. And I don't think that's a Flash problem. I think when the internet went down, our server went down. And now my computer's playing catch up. What's Cody focusing on?
I don't know, video game.
I'm excited for how the game is going to come out. I was trying to figure out how to give a chalk flip to something drawn in Flash. I found out that CC Scatterize effect works really well in After Effects. Yeah, you can do stuff in After Effects. I noticed that that gives a little more life to a line that could be, in other words, vector. But there's also stuff in Line Tool that you can use that changes the properties of the line. And I think in every Flash where you can use the I forget what it's called. It's like Stipple is one, and then there's one where there's dotted lines, and you can change the properties within that too. That's all Line Tool though. For brush stuff, you might have to play around in After Effects to give it a little bit of some. I mean, I know the chalk look pretty well. And I'm trying to think. We did something with. Oh, we did Cody the Dinosaur, and that was kind of like a crayon look. We just did that all in Flash though, with masks and all that stuff. Alright, so I save this here. I'm gonna close this. So I'm gonna have to close this because it's not letting me save, unless it is now. Nope. Close this now. Okay, so I can keep that going. So I got this in between, just had to, oh, I still have a lot left here. Now I can bring this back in whenever I need to. No harm, no foul. Well, some harm. No foul. Can you save to your... Did you have a problem saving, Bob?
No, I haven't.
I don't know what it is. I've been having trouble with, saving in general. I don't know how. I keep my desktop so filled with goodness. All right. Yeah, to answer, it's gonna be great. I'm excited for the. Yeah, we're really excited how this game's turning out. It's something I never thought we'd actually kind of muster up the willpower to finish something. And the more we're working on it and the more we're showing it off and all that stuff, I think it's really kind of lit a fire under us to get it done and get it done right and make it the best it can be. And it's interesting because we couldn't really do that with animated shorts. Like, you can't just animate a series. Well, you can if you have a lot of time and resources, and you can do web series and stuff. But when we did Flex Caliber, like, it was finished and that's it, and now it's just up to an audience to see it or someone to see potential in it. But games you can sort of show drips and drabs of and keep building on and grow an audience and stuff. We really couldn't do that with kind of an animated concepts. And it has everything to do with it being interactive, I think. You really have an audience that can actually be part of something, not just watch it. Plus, it's really cool getting to see your animation come to life and control it with a controller. It's really a feeling I haven't had since first starting to animate, where you finally see something come to life. Yeah, so that never touches the eyebrows, right? Oh. The X and Smashing wasn't enough for you. Cody and I made a game in college. I hesitate to call it a game, I guess. It was just this buggy thing that we called Axum Smash'em about, I forget who even the protagonist was. I don't know if it was, we had a monkey with an axe for a blade and a caveman, and I'm not sure which one was the good guy, which one the bad guy was. And I was horrible at animation, and Cody was very new to programming. And I went to my old high school to show it off. It was in college when I showed it off to my old art teacher. It took about 3 seconds of him playing on the keyboard before it crashed catastrophically. We were just so proud of it too, me and Cody. And then for Cody's thesis, we made a Game Boy game called Ninja Bear, which I don't know, could you guys guess what that was about? A bear that was a ninja. And we made a full level of that though. And we were still, like, I was drawing on paper, Cody was pixelating it and programming it and all that stuff, and but at the end of it, we got to play it on the Game Boy. So I guess this is my third attempt at a game. Oh man, I hate going back and looking at our own stuff. And especially in art school, I was constantly struggling, and then I look at it, it's like, oh, this stuff looks so bad. I was like, why did they even accept me into this school? Even like my first job out of school, I looked at what I was doing, and I'm a little shocked people were paying me to do stuff. Do I have 4 fingers on this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 3. So one's getting hidden behind this fold. Okay, so we're almost to the point where I could show you how I would pull off a stagger.
What inspired us to make this game?
It was a long build up to what inspired us to make this game. Bob and I were in the middle of animating a pilot for Disney XD, and we were in kind of a holding pattern. We were waiting on the script to be finished, which took longer than it should have. So we just sort of started playing around with different styles because we had some ideas for what we could do with the pilot. And we did a 45-second trailer for a vampire hunter. A school. She was named the same. It was still called #Blood and all that stuff. We made 45 seconds of it, and we really liked the look of it and everything. And then the script comes in, and then we're kind of back into working on our other pilot, so we kind of left it on the back burner, this finished piece. Fast forward 2 years later, Cody, Bob, and myself were talking about making a game, and Cody was just looking through our old pitches for inspiration or something we could use, and he, was looking into blood and stuff, and you know, we thought it probably made a better video game actually than a series. And then we took it from there. How many distractions do you think we'll get in this Twitch? It's raining here and no one can drive in our town either, so
Probably accidents everywhere.
but yeah, that's sort of the birth of it, and then we changed the style a little bit. It was a little, well, the short was very Samurai Jack-ish. If Cody wants to put up the short in this Twitch stream, the YouTube, you can kind of see where its humble beginnings came from. The stream tends to skip and buffer on my end. No, it's not, and it's our end too, so no need to apologize. But no, the inspiration we were saying was it started as a short that we made, and then we kind of never followed through with pitching it, or you know, we got distracted with other projects we were working on. And from there, you know, 2 years later, Cody approached us, and we all always wanted to make a game together and kind of collaborate. And then he kind of looked into the short, and we decided we should kind of use that premise to make the game. And if Cody could find the short, if he's still there. Or if Bob could put it in. And you'll see the kind of beginnings of where it is, and you know, the premise is the same. The style changed a little bit. We made it a little more cartoony, and probably a little less violent too when we really get down to it. Got it. Yeah, this is the short that kind of started the whole thing. No, that's what's interesting about this is that this wasn't, we made this and say, let's make a game. We made this and not forgot about it, but just kind of, it didn't go anywhere, so we just kind of let it sit. All right, whoops. And no, now we have plenty of content for it. And I'm curious to know how many seconds of animation we kind of put together just on the side. Okay, so now you see I kind of got this just very linear movement here. And that's just 5 different frames. So to stagger, because she hits him so hard, I want it to shake. Plus the air is pushing them back. So what I'm going to do is take frame 3. You're going to need 2 layers on this. Move it up to frame 2. Frame 2 up to 3. 5 to 4 and 4 to 5. So now that's a stagger. So you can see it's it's a little more impactful. So now when I take it out of there, you can see she's really pushing it. And what I could do, how long is this? So what I'm going to grab all this, so this is the amount of time I need from there to get to that. So it's not even that much. So what I could do is copy and paste. And since she should slow down at the end, I can kind of space those out a little different. So now it's a little less choppy and stuff. And then I can extend that. Okay, so now I did this. Now let me open up my other one and see if we can figure out what's going wrong and why that's not saving right. Blood video game animation intro 5/3 today's date. So where did we leave off? With this one? Yeah, you see. Now what I'm going to do is take these frames here and just reverse engineer, put them back in. So I'm going to Control-Alt-C, that copies the frames. go inside the symbol. They should line up perfectly, but just in case I put it on top, just to know. It's going to ask me to replace a symbol, and you don't need to worry about that. The symbol that it's replacing is the one that I just cleaned up, which is this one. There's no other symbol in it. So I'm going to hit replace. And you can see they kind of lined up perfectly. But I can just get rid of all the... So, goes on top here. I can erase all the bottom here. Don't need to duplicate it for any reason. Alright, so now I'm going to switch over to the owl. Because and all these animators on here might know that you get a little worn out with all the characters you're used to. So I want to try to have some fun with this owl. It's a cartoony kind of guy. He's kind of mean. It's a little slow animation. I want to try it out. You can see it in here. So you can see the camera moves are embedded, but I still have to mess with them because what I want to happen, since all this is in there, what will happen is when she starts jumping, I'm going to start moving the camera down too. So what I will do is she jumps and I'll kind of move it over to here. And I'll just coordinate this with the animation in between. So like, then land and it'll be back. Kind of here, kind of center him a little bit. So you can kind of see it. And now nothing's in between correctly now. So I'll go you know, and then we can add some camera shake and stuff like that. So it'll feel like a real kind of action-y scene. I had to stretch that over here a little bit. Yeah, that's a little better. And then we can yeah, start. You can see it starts feeling a little more action-y just by adding a little camera move and stuff. Okay, so I'm going to remove that for now because you can see this is in here, and I had to make that background look like this background now, and all there's a lot of links in between that I had to do, which is all kind of boring stuff. But if anyone was interested in that, maybe we could dedicate a Twitch to just Flash organization. So I got this owl kind of looking around here, and this is the beginning. So it lasts to 40 frames, so I know the animation can't exceed 40. So I got him kind of ending at 37 here. What's going to happen, I think, is we're going to kind of indicate that there's bats in the air, probably, or something's going to fly across the moon, and it grabs the attention of the owl. So what he does is antic up, then kind of does that typical head swoop that you'll see all the Disney animators do, where they look down, then go up in an arc. So let's just start by figuring out how to animate this guy. This is such subtle animation again, I probably won't need to rough much of it out. Now, I was cleaning everything up at 400 brush 4, and when the lines get very close like this, sometimes I zoom in a little more with a thicker brush and it gives me a little more control. It takes a little more time, but like just trying to in between, like say these two lines right there, I start pressing really hard. It gets really kind of distracting. It hurts my hand. So what I'll do is just match the line weight with a different percentage. So I'll zoom into maybe 600, probably 700 for that. What brushes did you guys use to get the old-timey feel on the background? Or is that a secret? Well, the background, we used the same exact brushes we've been using. We just add texture stuff to it, so I could show you some of this stuff. So everything's vector. It's not really a brush per se. Like, we did this vector, well, Bob did it. Let's give credit. So he made a bunch of brush strokes like that, and then just sort of erased around it to make it look so a lot of negative space and stuff. Now at 100%, it just looks like a dry brush stroke. And you can see they're all sort of the same amalgamation of one, so we can zoom in and zoom out and create different different lifts and stuff. And then all that stuff is just sort of, you can see it's just a vector with a little bit of dry brush feel to it. So it's the exact it's the exact same line weight of the owl, like this line right here, the line of the branch. So it all looks like it was done sort of with the same pencil and brush. No, I mean, vector stuff's great in that regard because you could literally make that as big as you want and it won't lose any, it won't get pixely at any point. And then we'll bring something like this into After Effects to like add some mood lighting and stuff, but it's really primarily done all in Flash. So I'm going to want to match the line weight here, so I'm going to play around with it. It looks like that's pretty close. So I'll count that brush down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Was it 8 or 7? 7. And then I'll just go, I'm off to the races here. And these are such subtle moves that, you could waste a lot of time roughing these out, but when it's so subtle, it doesn't have to spend a whole bunch of time on it. And what this is just an antic up for the owl. So does it go right into the head turn? But it'll keep the action kind of moving, or it'll keep this feeling alive. Another way to keep your animation alive is something I call a shimmer. Some people call it a traceback or a line boil. But that's a kind of a nice cheat too you can use. And we actually do it in Blood. When Becky's still, we just retraced her back a few times, so it always feels like the line's moving. It's a really good trick for like embedding symbols and all that stuff. Yes, then you'll loop it. So what I would do is make her a symbol, like Becky a symbol, then trace it back twice. So I'll call it like traceback 1 or traceback pose 01 or something like that. Then make it a graphic and keep it on loop. And it seems like a lot of work, but to keep everything alive, just tracing it back twice is sort of a time saver when you think about it. Or you're just stuck trying to animate a lot. So we're going to get this out of here. Oh, an hour and a half already. I swear I feel like I get nothing done in 2 hours. It just
nothing done in 8 hours.
sometimes 8 hours I feel like I get nothing done. Especially when you I kind of jump in cold turkey with these ones where I'll finish this Twitch stream, close this file, then open it up 4 minutes before we start the next one, and then I'm all discombobulated. So it takes me a little long to get my bearings. I like these secondary characters. You kind of just do them once and they're done, and they kind of liven up the mood a little bit. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been an interesting 2019. We got a lot of video game work, like not just, and I don't know if it had anything to do with Blood, really. It just sort of, I guess it has, in the regard that we went to MagFest and met all these people, but we just gotta That's we got 4 projects now going on, and they're all have some like video game intros or video game assets. So this is going to be an ease in, ease out. The low point is the quickest point you want to be in. This one I will rough out. Ooh, way too thick. One, two. No, he just finished one that did well on Instagram. This short, video game. I don't know what it is, an intro or trailer, whatever you call it. Called Tap Tap Dig, and people seem to like that one. Hopefully there will be more quality options besides 720, 60 frames per second. Well, I'm not animating at 60 frames a second. I don't know. The export is... that's a Cody question. Do you know anything about that, Bob?
No, we have the game.
The game plays
Like,
it.
we haven't really even decided what we're gonna do that at yet. But
What's it playing
we're
at now?
animating at 24. So.
We're animating at 24. I don't have the... I don't even know if I have the life expectancy to do it.
Well, that it just doesn't look like a cartoon.
No, the cartoons, it looks a little weird, I think, too. No, I can imagine. I can, like, when I heard people talking in the industry, let's start animating on 30 frames a second, I was like, so we're just going to add 25% more work to everyone? The human eye can really only see 24? Like, I understand the 3D part of it, but... Luckily not. Everyone in the animation community said, nah, we'll stick to 24. No, I know, that's stream quality. That's good to know. No, I knew you weren't talking about the animation. Ooh, another subscriber. Well, thanks for joining. I was always worried that this was just going to bore the hell out of people. Just watching a middle-aged man kind of draw cartoons, fumble around and make cartoons. Alright. I wonder who posted that on Reddit. And feel free, anyone that's just joining us, to ask any questions. And we love showing you guys our secrets and all that stuff. See, I see a little problem here. Got a little too fast. With these subtle moves, they really have to be careful. Better. So we'll go closer there. What do you think? Can I? We're gonna rough. I'll rough out the eyes for this one, so I don't make a fool of myself. Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of video game stuff, which is it's interesting. I mean, it would be great to get paid to do blood, but it is nice just being part of the industry, even in that fashion. it gets a little jumbled in here, especially characters with all this kind of line work. You get a little confused, so I always double back a few times. Make sure everything's looking right. Yeah, that's fine. I don't know anything about. Oh, in terms of programming, I have no idea. We were trying to do something once with the old IP, making our own game, but all we were doing was taking what Cody was telling us to type out and just applying it to Unity. And I can't say I learned a thing by playing in Unity. Bob had a better mind for that though, but you seem to know it a little, way more than I did.
Understanding Unity at least a little bit.
I had, that's the thing, I had no inclination. I still don't get it. It's magic to me, honestly. Like the fact that Cody and Andrew can just sit there with it. It's like a whole different language to me. I guess it is technically. Yeah. Sometimes the city follows you. The second we turn off the Twitch, everything will be done. So funny. Every time. Alright. So I favored this frame right here. You can see him sort of coming to life, right? This is one where I can sort of just eye it, I think, and get the crux of what I'm doing here. Let's see, let's put it like that. And you can see these tiny characters, like this is a real small character in terms of like line weight. You can kind of cruise through these pretty quick, and that's what a lot of the sprite animation is. It's a thicker brush. We zoom in pretty far, but they're so tiny, whereas, you know, when we meet Becky and all the vampires later in the short here, they're a lot bigger, so the cleanups take a lot longer. But something like this, when it's like a sprite this big, you could really get a lot done in a day. I think my record for the Becky sprite animation is I did each angle has 4 attacks, and I think I did one full angle, like all 4 attacks, which is probably 170 drawings. I think I did that in not a couple hours, but in a day, and you know, that was a lot of animation for that. And it's a full body animation. It's not just you know, head acting or blinks or anything. It's like the real deal here. So here we're gonna want to get the arc right. I kind of use this owl's brow as the kind of my focal point for this. So the brow's kind of going behind there, starting to bend. The shape. Now the eye's going around the nose here. What's his chin doing here? So his chin, so it's another kind of... See if that lines up right. Alright, that works. Probably spend more time. Make it a real slow kind of thing. You can see I change the timing all the time. It's when you rough something out, or when you're just kind of laying stuff out, you'll get a sense of timing. The more you in between, the more I change a lot of stuff. And I'm trying not to be beholden to any real rule in that regards. I just want it to look right. That's why, like, when you see a lot of people use X sheets and stuff, which more of an LA thing, I guess, but I don't know how they figure that that out, like how they kind of have that mapped out in their mind. Alright, so now go under the chin. The chin never really, the chin of this owl doesn't, like the jowls kind of sit separate here. Alright. I love how quick these characters go, like something like this. Especially when they're not moving around, it's all stationary. Okay, so that's the low point here, the frame before this, when his eyes are completely closed. Now I'm going to keep the eyes closed on this frame too, because when you blink, it's not always just, like, you keep them blinked for a little longer than you might expect, like in animation terms. Whereas if I did just a straight in between, it would still, like I would start opening it right now, where that's not necessarily what it would do in nature. Alright. I think the rest I can wing it. Yeah, I like that timing. So his brow is still like scrunched down, and that's why I changed like the bags under his eyes to reflect that too. Like everything's at play when you're doing these kind of motions, especially kind of like a scrunchy kind of animal. Like you want to be very aware of the folds and the neck and all that stuff. Yeah. And we had some sound effects of bats going through the air. I think that's going to work out pretty nicely. How do you go about animating scenes with the camera moving around? I've been trying to practice a fight scene with moving camera angles, and oh boy, am I having trouble with it. So you're going to want to, well, first you board it out. Just do thumbnails. You could use stick figures for fighting, just basic shapes. Then what you want to do is sort of like what I did in this one, where I embedded the animation inside the camera itself and then moved the symbol around. If you're using Flash. Toon Boom, I'm not sure how the symbol system works. I don't know if there are symbols or whatever the equivalent of Toon Boom is. So what you want to do is lock out every scene. So scene 1, say a guy's throwing a punch. Scene 2, there's, we cut to something else. So whatever's inside scene 1 with the punch, you're going to animate inside a symbol like this, then move the camera around after the animation's done. When I saw the gameplay trailer, I instantly saw The Binding of Isaac. No, we get that a lot, actually, The Binding of Isaac. I could tell, I think our crew's a bit older than when that game came out, but I like to think of it as like a Link to the Past or something like that. We're definitely Zelda heavy.
Or so it's not going to be a rogue.
And it's not rogue. It's a little bit of a linear storyline. You have to do certain things before you can advance and all that stuff. No, I whenever I think of old or video games, I always harken back to my childhood, which was Nintendo, Super Nintendo, all that stuff. So we've been told that about Binding. We've been called Binding of Dexter, I think, on a few on a few of those indie game chats and stuff. So, and I don't, I look at that as flattery. That's a very popular game, and people seem to like it. So, but anything that's the top down, I always think of Zelda, and even the old school Zelda, like the Nintendo version. I remember being 7 when that came out, and I remember playing that. I didn't even have a Nintendo. I went over to my friend's grandma's house, which was right down the street, and we'd just swim in her pool, his grandma's house. We'd swim in her pool, then get out sopping wet, just eat a bunch of candy and play Zelda, and just repeat. I mean, back to the pool. Then we just go and do the same thing. And we've never... I don't think I've beaten Zelda. I think we just play the same 3 dungeons and just have a blast. It's just simpler times. Brush. Oh no, I was using the right brush. No, that's what I kind of... I'm definitely chasing that feeling when we're making that game, like the feeling I had playing that game, or any Nintendo game. There was something very nice about being that kind of young, and I don't know if it's naive or just innocent or whatever it is, but it just was pure delight. It was also something like video games weren't a thing to me until Nintendo came out, and then it just felt like this whole new form of... And then I was hooked. Then I got every system since. And that was... Yeah, remember the arcade in Manitowoc? I would just go there with a handful
There was
of quarters.
hologram.
I just...
Too. I remember with,
and there was all this weird... it was pre-internet, so there... Did we lose it again, Cody? Are we back? God damn. Hold on, Cody's right, Bob. Straight red. Are we back? Cody, let me know if we're back. Sorry we keep dropping you guys, if anyone's out there still watching me. I can see it. Okay, good. God. I don't know if it's the weather or we just didn't pay our Optimum bill. We lost it again.
Oh well.
Oh, we're back, but...
Now we're back.
Well, come on. No, it's been really crappy.
I had a
GB
feeling.
Crew. Who's GB Crew?
That's
Is that Don?
no, Dan, his friend.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, his friend from Florida.
Florida.
I always wanted to know if Don was secretly watching us.
No, I don't think that.
No. We made fun of him too much on our first one. But no, I don't know when I cut off there, but it's just harkening back to my arcade days. Those were. That was like my only problem. I felt like, you know, like I was just worried about video games. It was just so refreshing. Now worrying about business just takes up my head. Alright. Well, we got a few more minutes here if anyone wants to see a tutorial or have any other questions. Or I could just finish this owl, whatever the audience wants. Or if any of you guys in the chat have a video game or an animation you want to share with the rest of us, I always encourage that. Ooh, the rain stopped. Maybe the internet won't.
Is that bad?
I don't know. It's real bad.
It's just been. Oh, it's always been bad. This building. It's never been
No,
good.
well, this building.
I'm telling you.
You mean this building wasn't equipped with fiber optics? When's the next time you guys are streaming? Well, next week I have a screening in the city. My thesis student finished her film, and SVA is doing the screening. So we're either going to do a Thursday one at 2 o'clock, or Bob will do video game or backgrounds on Friday. We could even double down. I don't see the harm in it, but it'll be Thursday or Friday, and it's always at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And we try to do it every week, and we try to pick up right where we left off, so nothing's too jarring. Now I might work on some of the stuff, but the intro won't be done for a little bit. So we got this. I think that works pretty nice. It might be a little quick in the middle. Which I could just change. I'm going to change that, so I'm going to push that so it's a little more. Yeah. So we're going to see how this kind of stuff is made. Yeah, show up anytime. And we also post it, if you happen to miss a stream, we also post it on our YouTube page at it's the Exit 73 Studios, and it's called Drawing Blood. Or Making of Blood. And, I mean, we can't talk live, but you could post questions there too if you have any, and we can answer them via YouTube comments. So we try to keep the audience, you know, there's no question that we shy away from. So, and it doesn't have to be about blood, it could just be about animation. Or studio life, or any of that stuff. Alright. And you can see how much I changed the timing just by doing a few in-betweens here. And that's the beauty of Flash. I mean, you could just change it to, you know, I could put this on 3s all of a sudden and get a really nice kind of drawn out thing, or you can shoot it all on 1s and make it look like a different time period. It's it really is. We owe our career to knowing the ins and outs of Flash. Yeah, I want Dong to join us again. Those are always fun. He might be watching in the shadows.
And,
You doubt it?
he's probably just getting to work right
He's
now.
just getting to work.
I'm not
He's
sure.
starting his morning shift. Oh. So we can ask. Yeah, of course. Ask on any of our platforms. We try to answer all of them. If we don't, I hope it doesn't come off as rude. We just, it's just a couple of us, so sometimes we'll lose some questions and all that. But yeah, feel free. Twitter's a great place to contact us. Our Facebook page is a good place. All those. I'm gonna stretch that one out here. Nah, I liked it better this way. Alright. Yeah, and those of you who don't follow us on Twitter, you can check out more of our work there. Instagram has a lot of blood. Facebook, we probably post the most on. I don't know what our.
We usually do it on everything.
We try to do it on everything. It's usually the same thing, though, so you can follow us on one. And you can go to bloodgame.com to get exclusive content that shows up before any of those platforms. We just ask that you sign up to our mailing address, and it's not one of those mailing addresses where we're going to bother you at all. It's just really content when content gets served. But we do have some exciting news that we're going to post on there next month about an opportunity we had to do some stuff on blood. And you'll get an exclusive look on that. And it's fun. It's a pretty cool piece of information that we're excited to talk about. Alright, so then he falls down and then he settles. Alright, well, let's see. I'm going to continue this here. But it's been around 2 hours, so I think we're going to come to a close. And we'll definitely have the owl done next week. And maybe I'll lay out some more of this stuff, depending on... I see 3 emails here, so I'm a little afraid. But thanks you all for joining us again. We're always very happy to see that people keep tuning in, this being our 16th one and all that stuff. I'm glad we're not boring you guys to death. And I'm glad you guys are finding some interest in this. It makes us want to work on it more and work on it harder and deliver everyone the best product we can. So until next week, Thursday or Friday, we'll make the decision then. What's that?
Or both.
Or both. We can do both. I have no harm with it. I'll be in the city though. I'll join you. I'll watch it from the city. Ooh. We'll have everyone in a different zip code. Okay, so until next week, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and we will be back then. Enjoy, guys.